Right, we are ready to go for our second event of the day. I say second event of the day. Our next run, I apologise for that. Our next run, which will be Dirt 3 individual seasons. This is the first season being run by FireFox. So take it away, FireFox. You're live. Yeah, you're live.
Okay. Okay, so this is Dirt 3. We are going to be running Season 1. So the aim of the game, complete all 4 seasons. We're just going to be doing Season 1. And then afterwards, we'll be doing the Trailblazer run. And between the two runs, between the two categories, sorry, we will be seeing pretty much the broad gist of all the tricks available in the game. So that we don't have to do a 4-hour speed run for that to 5-hour speed run to showcase all of that off. So yeah.
And just quickly before we do start, I just want to mention that we have had a $10 donation from Anonymous, which simply says, "Go Firefox."
Cool. Thank you very much, Anonymous.
I'll take it away, Firefox. All yours.
Excellent. So countdown in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so the first trick, as you can see, we've got this like little dialogue happening in the bottom left corner. For the most of the run, we can skip all of these with a trick called dialogue skip. Very well named. I'm just going to listen for audio cues here. Whoops. Give me a sec to fix this up. I accidentally... Okay, there we go. Okay, I'll just explain what happened there at the moment. So, a side effect of doing dialogue skip is that I am currently running the game in windowed mode, and I accidentally full screened my window, so I just need to fix that up. So how dialogue skip works is that whenever there's that little dialogue section, you cause lag to the game, and that lag cuts out the dialogue. So what I was doing there is I was clicking on the window and making the game think I was moving the window around, which causes the lag to happen, and which skips the dialogue. We used to do that through simply toggling between full screen and windowed mode using Alt and Enter. But on a hot day, when I was messing around with glitchless, I accidentally activated dialogue skip without actually doing any skipping intentionally at all. So basically my PC had just lagged out at that point and discovered that it was simply just lag that had caused that, and then from there we managed to optimize it and figure out that we can just move the window around to cause that initial lag instead, which is a lot faster than waiting for Alt and Enter to retoggle everything. So first race we have here is Finland Rally S2000 class, which has some unique tech showcased there. That was a bit slow, but the gist of it is that if anyone here is a fan of Initial D, we basically do the gutter trick, where we drop both our tires into these gutters here, and basically get a lot more grip in the turns, and we basically turn on like a roller coaster. It is a bit tricky though, because if you go a bit too fast, you do get kicked straight out of the gutter, and it causes not so nice crash. So yep, we got 2 Finlands here. One more dialogue skip here. Let's try not to double click on the window again, because trigger happy fingers. So you can also see that we're currently running the game in Spanish. I mentioned before that we used to have a glitches category, and so we would run the game in Spanish for that specific category. However, because the dialogue sequences are a lot faster, but it turns out, I found this only a couple of days ago, that it's also faster to run it in when doing dialogue skip as well. And there's two reasons for that. One, dialogue seems to cut out faster on Spanish for some weird reason. And two is that whenever we load back into the front end from game, it tends to load a little bit faster for whatever reason. My current theory on that is that the audio files are smaller and therefore it's a little bit quicker to load. So we actually save quite a significant time at the end of this Season 1 run because we're going in and out of front end during the Gymkhana Academy quite a bit and save almost about 4 seconds there, which is over the English version, which is quite insane. I should also mention okay, he's off the track there. The current assistant difficulty I'm running on. Look, gotta run here. Missing that. Yeah, wanted to get in there a bit sooner, but all good. So we're currently running on difficulty 5, with all assists off except for automatic gears. That's just a personal preference. I don't like to focus on manual gears. And with all damage turned off, because why would we want that turned on? So yeah, difficulty 5, we have a maximum of 6 difficulties in this game. So we want to go into the highest difficulty that is safest to run. Difficulty 6 is a little too hard, you have to play 2 perfectly, and for safety reasons it's just easier to have that backup. More dialogue skipping. And having it on the highest difficulty makes it so that the AI is as competent as possible to make overtaking not awful. Okay, and we're on to the first rallycross section, which is honestly the hardest part of this Season 1 run, just because overtaking can be a bit of a pain. Sometimes the track just gets really crowded and it's very easy to wipe out. This is normally the first track that has a bit of a reset point to it. So I'll mostly be going wide, but by setting it to difficulty 5 we will also try to use the AI to speed ourselves up through the corners. Okay, he's going wide, but that doesn't usually happen. And so ideally we want to crash into him and just push ourselves through the corner a little bit faster. The AI actually going kind of faster than usual. That's not good. Very easy to span out there. Oh, and yeah, that's not good RNG right there. He was just blocking me. So I also expect one of the AI to spin out here, because they just always spin out. Oh, I didn't do it that time. Okay, like 90% of the time, either the first place or second place will actually spin out there, just out of their own volition. Yeah, it's pretty scripted AI for the most part. But I guess due to the randomness dice roll, he didn't want to spin out there. That sometimes happens. Okay, so now that we're past all the AI, we can just focus on our lines properly and make it all the way to the finish. Okay, that's the rallycross done. And that went smoothly, no crashes, which I'm very happy about. And now I think the next one is head-to-head. Can't quite remember, but the route is fairly straightforward. Pretty sure we just unlock the final here. More dialogue skipping. And you can see I'm just spamming through the menus there. We don't really care about what car we pick. We just want to pick our car as fast as possible. There's some differences between the cars, but for the most part, they're very well balanced. Especially with tuning, especially if we don't tune the cars, because we just don't have time to tune the cars and make them a bit faster. We'd lose too much time in the menus over the actual tuning process. The other difference is that there's different reputation levels between the cars, and so we get more points, reputation points for certain cars, especially DLC cars. Like, I think this one's a DLC car, can't quite remember. Which does cost us a bit of time because we unlock stuff sooner in the menus. But in the end of this first season, we end up on reputation level 6. Well, if you were to actually try to minimize the reputation points that you were getting for the unlocks, you would end up on reputation 5 anyway. So it's basically you would save one reputation screen versus losing a bunch of time just selecting the different cars. Focus a little here. Yeah, so head-to-head versus the other car that's basically traveling half a track behind. A little cut through here. Don't want to full stop into the side of the bridge because I've definitely done that before. And off to the next head-to-head after this. So yeah, that's a very consistent track. You don't have to deal with any AI there. With Rally as well as Trailblazer, you have to deal with overtaking the AI, especially the ones that crash as well. Because even at difficulty 5, they do crash. Difficulty 6, not so much. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've been on difficulty 6. But yeah, just more of the same. It is also RNG dependent as to which side, because you can start in the AI's position instead and do the track and have a different starting point for this track. Not sure what it is, but like I think it's pretty consistent if you follow this route exactly. But if you start choosing different cars and doing different stuff, the RNG tends to shift over. So I'm not sure if it's purely dependent on that or if it's just purely luck that you basically start this exact route, that having that exact starting point every single time, which makes it easier because then you don't have to worry about memorizing 2 different tracks for most of the run. So yep, general driving techniques, follow the racing lines, minimize airtime. That's one of the big things in this game. So for a lot of the cuts that we do, the cuts end up being a bit slower because we just get pushed up into the air, and then we also lose time from the landing. Cars don't like to land too much. I missed that. So that's a fairly flat cut, which is nice. Nice and easy to take, especially with the car's suspension as well. And we also want to maintain as much grip as possible, with a few exceptions here and there. So we never want to slide, despite this being a rally game. We can do sort of a very slight drift, and it doesn't really lose us much time, and gives us a ton of grip through the corners. But yeah, you want to avoid just sliding in general. Another rallycross event. This time we are visiting Aspen, which I believe is Norway. So first, snow track. More AI to overtake. This one's a little bit safer because the track's just a lot more wider, so you can just predict the AI much easier, and you just have a lot more room to work with. So that previous rallycross we did is a very narrow track, which is why I tend to crash more often than I would like in there. So we're going to go for a bad racing line here. Just go on the inside and jump between the AI. Get him to push me through the corner. Save as much speed as possible. Oh, what is this guy doing? Maybe I can squeeze in around here. I think he's acting a bit drunk. He's swerving all across the road. Normally the trucks are the only ones who are drunk. But yeah, that swerving is very annoying to deal with. So brake at the top of the ramp just to land a bit sooner, and so you can turn in a bit sooner, because you can go too fast over that ramp. No need to really do it for the first lap because you've got a bad line trying to overtake the AI anyway. And one lap after this, and we'll be moving on to the first truck event, I believe. And that's gone a bit wide again, but should be good. Yeah. Also, we want to avoid getting objectives, but the objectives are randomized, so you can't really tell which one you're about to get. It would save a bit of time in that little menu. In that menu that shows the results of the match. So we would save a bit of time if we didn't have the objective thing there. But I also don't read Spanish, so even if we weren't spamming through the menus, I wouldn't really be able to tell what objective to avoid. Most easiest one to skip is like the one that says don't take any damage, so theoretically you could just like nick yourself and hope that was the objective. But then there's other objectives like reach a top speed of X, and we kind of want that speed. He's pushing me into the yellow trucks. Stop taking the inside line. Okay, this is a bit more chaotic than usual. Excuse him, what? He always spins out there. And normally if I was behind a truck by here, he would be swerving all over the road. That's why I nicknamed the trucks the drunks, but a little bit of a slide there. That was a bit slow. Intentional one. Just gives us a bit of better angle over on the exit. Just try to stick to the inside as much as possible here. In terms of for a lot of events, you get to choose between whether you run with trucks or buggies, but trucks are definitely the slowest, so if you have a choice, choose the buggies. Yeah, a lot more grip with the buggies and just generally a lot more fun. But for these Season 1 events, we don't really get a choice, so we have to run with these. There's not too much of a difference. I think it's between like 1 and 2 seconds, but both the buggies and the trucks are a bit heavy and a bit awkward to drive with, so. Also is a bit helpful though, because we can just like full speed up this corner without ever hitting the brake or anything like that. Same with this corner. It does help to get tap the brake a little, just get a better angle, but you got to use those inclines to your advantage as much as possible. And with that, we are done with the first of 2 Land Rush events. We are closing very close to that difficulty 6, but we will not exceed that. That one. I would normally have my timer up on screen that shows a different route, so I'm going off memory here, so I was a bit like questioning myself as to whether that was actually the correct call or not, but that would have been bad if I went for the wrong event. Another rallycross event. This is probably the funnest one of them all. Very high speed track. AI don't really get in the way too much, so you can really focus on driving lines here. Also a little bit of water tech. Just go around the water. Yeah. Trying not to spin him out there, because otherwise he'll just slow me down. Get a bit wide here to prepare for this next corner. And ideally, full speed all the way down this line. So yeah, I think with difficulty 6 you'd normally take at least a few laps to overtake all the AI, but anything lower than that you can overtake them all within the first lap. Missed the apex there. Honestly, I always just like misread that a little bit. You always need to brake a little bit sooner than you think you need to for those specific cuts. But you don't really lose too much time if you miss it. It's kind of a small optimization. Yeah, you can also see in the top left there it says MP. That's basically the Spanish for PB. That's a lie. This is a brand new file, so obviously that's not actually going to be PB. Especially when it comes with like WR as well. If you're playing offline, just thinks you got the world record, which is hilarious. So yep, one more lap of this. And we will be soon moving on to the Gymkhana Academy after one more Land Rush event. So get ready your unskippable cutscenes, because we have not found a way to skip those yet. So that will be fun. Oh, got a bit of oversteer there and went into the fence. For the most part, the physics of this game are very controllable, except when you go over a bump. If you go over any sort of bump, there's like a 20% chance you're going to go into a tree, so you just got to be a bit careful about that. Especially if you go over a bump with no grip. First track over in Smelter. And there is a bit of a tech here to avoid a gigantic pool of water, but it does come with some risk. So either this is going to go very well, or I'm going to full stop into something in midair. So let's hope that doesn't happen. Okay, so yep, over this jump is a giant pool of water. We want to pull to the right a little bit to try to just avoid the water entirely there. It's a very tough line to get there, and if you go too far right, you end up crashing into the fence. And there is a bit of geometry that sticks out the side there, so if you hit that midair, you just basically end up doing a 360 and face planting. Hence the reason we also have difficult, damage turned off, because you would probably instantly die if you did that. So now that we don't have to deal with the AI, let's give it a shot. Too far to the right there, but I didn't hit the geometry, so that's fine. There is a bit of a weird tech to get your car to slightly roll. Roll on its to the left axis a little bit, just to land with all 4 tires on that slanted bit after the jump. But it's not consistent and quite difficult to get. Okay, that was better. Still hit the water a little bit. that is pretty much, on average, what you're going to get. You can get a little bit faster, but it's very difficult to keep that consistent. Yeah. Yeah, so landing on all 4 tires is ideally the way to go for that, but yeah, if you land on 2 tires, then you tend to get those bounces and causes even more airtime, so you just lose even more speed. Because, you know, when you're in the air, you can't accelerate, so logically you're just going to go slower. I am using a controller. But I do, when actually going for proper PvE attempts, I will spam through the menus with a keyboard. Oh, more dialogue skipping. And now we're onto the Gymkhana Academy. So there is a trick to speed this up a little bit. So what we are going to do is we are going to try to aim for get the minimum amount of points for the bronze medal, and then we can just quit and exit, and it saves out those amount of points, and it allows us to pass those events. You can't do that in normal Gymkhana events. It counts as you retiring from the event, which is very annoying. Because because basically Gymkhana events are just auto-scrollers. So if we could quit those out early, we would save literally like a whole minute per event, which would be huge. But alas, no. And it's kind of annoying because those Gymkhana events are also the fastest in a normal any percent run compared to most of the other events. So we kind of have to take those audio scrollers, essentially. So double cutscene skip here, just Spanish Ken block telling us what to do. Take the intended route with the Smash tutorial. Better to go a bit slow, and hit all the Smash blocks, than to accidentally miss them. The points only count if they get registered in the UI in the little top right that you're about to see. So as soon as that flashes up, I want to quit out. If you have the amount of points but it hasn't appeared on the UI, then it does not count, which kind of sucks. And that should be it. Yep, so just quit and exit as soon as you get the bronze medal, move on as fast as possible. Saves that from having to be an auto-scroller. So this section is already long enough with those cutscenes. Thank you, Codemasters, for having always with your unskippable cutscenes. Seems to be a bit of a staple with Codemasters. But yeah, pretty chill time at the moment. However, it is also, because you've got so much downtime, it's very easy to choke this last section if you're on a PB attempt. Yeah, I've definitely had many chokes, especially at the donut tutorial. Jump tutorial, very easy, you just jump over 2 of these jumps and quit out immediately. Not much to talk about with that. Gymkhana itself is just a bit, mostly tedious. Can be a little bit tricky in an N% run, just because the higher the difficulty, the more points you need to get, and there's some Gymkhanas that are just a bit awkward to get points in. Oh, what? Okay, for some reason, normally that would be 2, but I guess I didn't have enough speed for that second jump. Thought I would normally get a bit more points for the first jump, which is why I was a bit concerned there. So that sucks, and it's the first time that's happened as well, which is kind of annoying. Usually that's a very free tutorial. So this next tutorial is the drift tutorial, where we have to slide between a bunch of basically those gates there in a figure 8, but I will be doing a different route So instead of taking the figure 8, you just take one of the 8s, a half 8, I don't know what you call it. We're basically just going to be doing a single donut through all these checkpoints instead of transitioning between them. And so that saves about a second if I don't crash. It's very difficult to get 5,000 points on every single one of these gates, especially this first one. So we normally want to take about 6 gates instead of optimally what would theoretically would be 5. Okay, next up is this spin tutorial. Fairly easy, we just need to do a single spin and then exit out. So definitely one of the easier of the tutorials. Like, they're all generally pretty easy, it's just very chokeable. Very chokeable.
Las zonas de derrape me parecen imposibles. Una auténtica demostración de precisión. ¿Cuál es el truco para pasarlas, Kid?
La zona de derrape es uno de mis trucos preferidos. Tienes que conducir por la zona marcada y hacer que el coche derrape de forma controlada. Cuanto más derrapas, más puntos. La clave, acercarse lentamente.
I have no idea if we're on pace or not. Actually, no, definitely not. Because of that jump tutorial went horribly wrong. We also went a bit wide on some of the corners as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if we were... Like, my PB is a bit slow, but it just has a really good Gymkhana. That was bad. Yay, marathon jitters. Okay. I say it's free and then I screw it up. Classic. And before I get the donut tutorial perfectly. If we could skip these cutscenes, it would probably take about almost like 8 minutes out of the run. Find a cutscene skip. That would be amazing. The also other biggest slowdown point of the run is when loading in-game. So Codemasters, in order to make PC and consoles the same, when you're loading into a race, they have a fixed loading time. So if your game loads faster than that loading time, it just like stalls out until it reaches that time, which is very annoying, especially for PC, but it also makes console a bit better. But like I said, loading back into the front end, there we go. Loading back into the front end is still loading time dependent. Yeah. Not the worst donut I've ever done. So if that does go wrong, I normally just like actually touch the donut poles instead, which instantly loses your combo. And now, auto scroller to finish off the run. Literal auto scroller, like. Theoretically, if we could skip out of it, we'd set our difficulty to level 1, because you can change difficulty whenever you want. Well, at the start of an event. And so if you set to difficulty 1, you reduce the score you need to get, and then you could literally finish with a whole minute to spare on the clock. I'm going to be finishing this with about 40 seconds to spare on the clock. So it's literally going to be about 40 seconds of dead air until we finish the run, until the run is finished. So yeah, a bit of an anticlimax to the end of this particular run, but technically the run just pretty much ends as soon as you enter this event. Well, as soon as you start this event, because that's the last non-auto scrollery input. But just in case we ever do find a way to skip all this, then the run ends at the end of this event. One can remain hopeful. So if you did want to maximize out your Gymkhana score, you would actually want to, you have a multiplier that's like ×1, ×2, ×3, at that little triangle section there. You would want to wait until your multiplier is at ×3 before you start hitting these smash blocks, because that way you get the most points out of them. And now I'm already first with 50 seconds to spare. Nice. So yeah, we can literally just screw around for the rest of this event. There's no way to speed it up. So yeah, guess I'll just look at the chat, or if anyone has anything to say, now's the time. We've got plenty of it.
I was actually just going to say, nice Scooby.
Sorry?
I very much approve the yellow Subaru.
Yeah, I mean,
One singing yellow Subaru.
yeah, it's just
Very
the
nice.
it's just the automatic car that the game gives you based on your reputation level. So it is very nice to see there. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, time.
Gotta wait till it's come through.
So yeah, I'm expecting that to be a 34.50 because that was very slow.
I've got 34.53.
Hey!
Well, it's about the same. About the same, I
Yeah,
think.
that's close enough for what I expected.
Even if it's a few seconds out to what you've got, I think we're the same identical time, which is pretty good.
Excellent. So yeah, lost about 30 seconds from my PB there. Kind of hoping I could get PB because I'm very on pace to beat it at the moment, especially in a lot of practices. I've just been choking at that Gymkhana section. But with that,
with that, that's the season one run done. I couldn't even say that then. Yeah, season 1 run done. I think you've got the Trailblazer run next.
Yep.
So it's literally just a case of quick swap over. We're gonna go to a quick intermission, just while FireFox gets this thing set up, and then yeah, be right back.